Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in the live studios in Hythe, southeast England, just near the English Channel. I got a report today yesterday from Mayapur Shashi Prabhu, who is the one who puts the Facebook videos onto YouTube. And he says now we have 500 subscriptions, not subscriptions, subscribers. 500 subscribers to the YouTube channel of the same name. That's pretty good. It's growing. It's growing. Drops of water weigh away a stone. If you do it every day, like my best friend Vaisheshika Prabhu always says, when he puts the book up, and he takes one page and he holds it up, and if you're at a distance, you can't even see it. And he said, if you just go page by page, as we did like 2 full cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam in 1 month in Govardhan, one Kartik. Brilliant. That's why they give him all the big bucks. Okay. Sanatana Goswami compiled a beautiful glorification of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the basis of the Brhad Bhagavatamrta, along with the direct instructions from Lord Chaitanya for 2 months to Sanatana Goswami. So here's what he compiled, Sanatana Goswami, about the Bhagavatam. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidwandoditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Mannishtadaga Madbhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. The sadhu sadhutadayan adini chochata kada hanamun jagadachin mam premna ret kanta yospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Gopakumar has successfully enlightened his disciple on the order of Srimati Radharani. And when he became ecstatic in love, Krishna appeared to both of them. Not only to him, but his cowherd friends and cows and calves. So, whereas Swarup entered by going to Mathura and then going to Vrindavan, then into Nanda Maharaj's house and all that. But Jana Sharma, who's his the spiritual name of his disciple, he's entering right into the forest pastimes. So we're now hearing about the pastimes that Krishna is having with his friends in the forest, and Jani Sharma is being brought into them. His friends, that's Krishna, his friends made for him various garlands from flowers and leaves. There were flowers and leaves of tulasi, malati, and jati, of malika, kunda jasmine, and kubjika, of clove, ketaki, and jinti, of madhavi, and 2 kinds of yuktika. The garlands had kanchana and karavira and shatapatri, 2 kinds each, and flowers and leaves of palasha and navamali and odra and damanaka and others. There were flowers and leaves of kadamba and of nipa and bakula and naga, punaga and champaga. The garlands had kutaja and ashok and mandara. They had karnikara, asana, arjuna, patala, priyaka, and still other flowers and leaves. Krishna put these garlands on himself and passed them out among his friends. Commentary. The boys made many kinds of flower garlands for Krishna, including the famous Vaijayanti. Malati and Jati are subtypes of white night-blooming jasmine. Nipa and Kadamba are also 2 varieties of one species. The 2 kinds of Utika are the golden Swarna Utika and white Shubra Utika. The Karavira and the Kshatrapatri both have white and red varieties. Palasha is also known as Kimshuka. The second of these verses ends with the word Damanakadibi, which implies that there were other flowers with petals like the Damanaka, such as the Marobaka. In the 4th verse, the others indicated at the end of the first line include the Shringarahara, Stalakamala, and Bhumi Champaka. Many flowers that grow in water are not mentioned here because they play more of a part in Krishna's water sports. Nonetheless, the many water flowers used in these flower garlands are also referred to indirectly by the phrase, and others. The garlands also included new leaves and flower buds from trees such as the Kadamba, and on his head, Krishna always wore peacock feathers and berries of Gunja. Text 67. He smeared his limbs with the paste of sandalwood, aguru, kumkum, musk, and other fragrant substances brought from the forest. Commentary. Krishna's friends brought these fragrant substances from the Vrindavan forest for his pleasure and made them into a paste by adding water and grinding them on rocks. Krishna smeared this paste on his body and once again shared it with his friends. All enjoyable things are available in the Vrindavan forest. Text 68-69. Then, in a choice grove, fragrant with sweet-smelling flowers and resonant with humming bees, Krishna rested a while on an excellent bed made of many new soft leaves, sprouts, and flowers. The body of his dear friend, Sridama. I did it again. The body of his dear friend Sridama provided a comfortable pillow, and countless friends served Krishna by expertly reciting prayers, singing sweetly, fanning him, dressing his hair, and massaging his lotus feet and hands. That was from upstairs? Commentary. Krishna's flower bed was so fragrant that many bees were attracted to it. Krishna pleasantly rested on this very comfortable bed while his friends attended to him. Sri Badarayani has described this scene in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:15, 16, and 18. Sometimes Lord Krishna grew tired from fighting and lay down at the base of a tree, resting upon a bed made of soft twigs and buds, and using the lap of a cowherd friend as his pillow. Some of the cowherd boys, who were all great souls, would then massage his lotus feet, and others, qualified by being free of all sin, would expertly fan him. My dear king, other boys would sing enchanting songs appropriate to the occasion, and their hearts would melt out of love for the Lord. Text 70. Krishna enjoyed pleasing his friends, and in various ways, along with Balaram, indulged in his pastime of relaxing. Though Krishna's friends were very competent in the sport of keeping themselves from laughing, Krishna defeated them by imitating various characters, distorting his face, and cutting hundreds of jokes. Commentary. The boys served Krishna, and he reciprocated by entertaining them. Text 71. Then, making the animals rise by sounding signals from his flute and buffalo horn, he enjoyed grazing them near Govardhan Hill. Home sweet home. And again, all his friends, each according to his own taste, tried to outdo the others in decorating Krishna with an assortment of wonderful items from the forest. Commentary. Some boys applied tilak made from haritala to Krishna's forehead. Others arranged flower garlands in his hair, and still others decorated his head with gunja berries. Text 73. In the evening, Krishna, the giver of joy to all of Braja, left the newcomer, Brahmana, Janasharma, in the hands of Sarupa, and as before, took pleasure in entering the cowherd village. Commentary. Krishna's return to his father's village in the evening has already been described, so that Janasharma would not be confused about what to do back in the village. Krishna asked Sarupa to guide him. Text 74. O mother, now this is Maharaj Parikshit speaking to Uttara. O mother, you are fixed in the super excellent intelligence attained only by the mercy of Lord Gopinath. Now, reflecting on all you have heard, you can answer your own questions. Commentary. Having reached the end of his narration, Sri Parikshit now suggests to his mother that he has told her everything she needs to know to answer the questions with which she had approached him. She should not doubt her ability to think of the correct answers, because she is fully graced with Krishna's mercy. At the beginning of Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta 1.1.18, Sri Uttara asked Parikshit, my dear son, please extract the essence of what Shukadev has taught you and quickly reveal it to me, as if churning the nectar of immortality from the ocean of milk. At the beginning of part 2, 2.1.24, Uttara inquired further whether higher than Vaikuntha there is a realm where the Supreme Lord's most intimate devotees can associate with him freely. A suitable place must surely exist for them beyond Vaikuntha. Please reveal it to me and rescue me. Text 75. By your own endeavors, dear mother, please try to reach Sri-goloka, the deep ocean where the flood of all transcendental bliss finds its ultimate limit. Just by going there, you will eternally relish all sorts of most sweet, loving exchanges with that same Supreme Lord. Commentary. Out of love for his mother, Parikshit is eager to help her find the answer to her questions. This he does in 4 verses, texts 75 through 78, by reminding her of the ultimate perfection she can achieve. He advises her to try by all means to achieve Goloka, Krishna's abode. Goloka can be reached only by the special mercy of the personality of Godhead. Still, devotees are recommended to make their own efforts to achieve that goal with enthusiasm and confidence in their regulative practices. For devotees who become indifferent to everything will fail to attract the Supreme Lord's favor. Text 76. It's not that just anyone at any time can achieve those perfections at once just by traveling to the district of Mathura on earth. Rather, only a rare person achieves them when he has obtained full mercy from the Lord's dear devotees. O Mother, please therefore gather dust from the feet of devotees who have exclusive love for the lotus feet of the Lord. Commentary. Mother Uttara might propose that according to what she has heard from Parikshit, she could achieve perfection simply by traveling to the nearby Brajabhumi of the Mathura district, which is non-different from Goloka in the spiritual sky. But Parikshit answers that to realize the boundless variety of loving exchanges with Sri-goloka-mähätmya is not so easy. Only during the short time of Krishna's avatar, when he makes himself visible on earth at the end of one of Dwapara Yuga, at the end of but one Dwapara Yuga in each day of Brahma, can anyone who simply visits Braja become perfect. At that time, Krishna descends to earth to bestow causeless good fortune to all the jivas. At other times, one can achieve the full realization of Krishna consciousness only by receiving a flood of mercy from a dear devotee of Sri Gopinath. This indeed was how the Brahmana Janasharma became fortunate, by the mercy of Sarup. Parikshit therefore begs his mother that rather than associate with persons interested in liberation or anything else, she search out the dust from the feet of Vaishnavas who want only love for Krishna. With great care, she should collect that dust and place it on her head. Then her visit to Brajabhumi will result in complete perfection. Text 77. That place, Goloka, bestows eternal loving contact with Krishna's beautiful lotus feet, which are thickly smeared with the kumkum from the slopes of the gopis' breasts. Dear Mother, I have thus replied according to the spirit of your affectionate and deeply thoughtful questions, and all your doubts should now have been destroyed. Commentary. Now that Parikshit has told his mother what she ought to do, he wants to remind her that Goloka is the final goal, and that meditation on Goloka will greatly foster her progress. Uttara's original request was, "Please deliver me." And in this verse, Parikshit responds directly. considering Uttara's plea altogether praiseworthy, he has gladly satisfied her. Simply by hearing in detail the glories of Goloka, all doubts are vanquished. Text 78. That world Goloka, shining even above Vaikuntha, can be achieved only by firm, boundless love for the blessed feet of the lover of the gopis. In that land, one reaps the most valuable rewards, far beyond one's desires. When one meditates on the residents of that world, they grant the highest fortune of firm standing in prema. Commentary. The only effective sadhana for reaching the highest world Goloka is the special kind of love that holds fast to the lotus feet of Sri Gopinath. And since that love reposes in the residents of Goloka, remembering the exalted Vaishnavas of Goloka is the key to all success. Text 79. Now please hear some relevant statements of great sages, statements that will fully satisfy your mind. Commentary. Parikshit has answered his mother's inquiries by narrating two histories, one about Narada and the other about Gopakumar. Earlier in this second half of Brhad Bhagavatamrta 2.133, he told his mother, I could satisfy your request by explaining to you the statements of the Shrutis and Smritis, both in their literal meaning and in their implications. To conclude, he will now cite the supporting opinions of reputable authorities about the glories of Goloka. Now this is a very special section of the book at the very end. It's famous as the Rasayan section. And here we're going to hear all kind of scriptural descriptions and confirmation of everything that's been told in the Brhad Bhagavatamrta. It's called the Rasayan, famous. Above heaven is Brahmaloka, which is served by many Brahmarshis. It is the goal of Lord Shiva and his wife, Uma, and of the great luminous souls who were liberated in the Supreme. Commentary. Texts 80 through 85, cited from the Hari Bhangsha, 219, 29 through 30, and 32 through 35, are part of the prayers offered to Krishna by Lord Indra after Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. Here the term Swarga is used in the same sense as in the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.5.42. Others may divide the whole planetary system into three divisions, namely the lower planetary systems on the legs of the Supreme Person, the middle planetary systems on the navel, and the upper planetary system, Swargaloka, from the chest to the head. In other words, Swarga can be taken to mean the 5 upper planetary systems from Indra's world up to Brahma's. Above those planets is found the end of the material universe, and above that is Brahmaloka, Vaikuntha, the transcendental realm. Vaikuntha is also called Brahmaloka because it is the abode of Brahma, pure spirit, and because it is the world presided over by the personality of Godhead, the Supreme Brahman, Sri Krishna. Of course, beyond the 5 higher lokas or worlds mentioned here are the 7 coverings of the universe, Beyond them is the abode of liberation, Muktipada. Then comes Sri-goloka, and then the spiritual world. The verse quoted above, however, mentions only Swargaloka and Vaikuntha, because the universal coverings are not normally understood to be worlds, and because Swarga is well known as the heavenly destination of pious workers. To give some idea of the greatness of Vaikuntha, therefore, a description that conceives of the spiritual world as simply lying beyond Swarga is sufficient. Rather than refer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead merely as Brahman, it is more correct to refer to him as Parabrahman, the Supreme Brahman. Krishna is called Param Brahma, Narakriti, the Supreme Absolute Truth appearing in human form. Thus, in Bhagavad Gita 10:12, Arjuna says to Krishna, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. Atma and Brahman, therefore, may also be accepted as secondary names of Krishna because they identify his expansions, namely the Supersoul and the impersonal Supreme. Therefore, in a later verse of the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 10:20, Krishna begins to describe his opulent material expansions, vibhutis, by saying, I am the Supersoul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. The Brihad Sahasranam Stotra, when referring to the Supreme Person's vibhutis in its list of secondary names, also calls him Atma. Atma Tatvadiva. He is the Supreme Soul and the ruler of the elements of creation. The words of saintly Vaishnavas also identify impersonal Brahman as one of the Supreme Lord's vibhutis. Parat Param Brahma Chate Vibhutaya. These, including the Supreme Brahman, which is beyond everything else, are your opulent expansions. Therefore, since the Brihad Sahasranama Stotra includes among its 1,000 names of the Personality of Godhead the names of his vibhutis, these are factually his names, and Sri Krishna can properly be called Brahman. Consequently, Sri Shukadeva has said, Satyaloka, the topmost planetary system, is situated on the head of the universal form. Brahmaloka, however, is eternal. Bhagavatam 2.5.39. Srila Sridhar Swami paraphrases this idea in his commentary. The world of Brahman, known as Vaikuntha, is perpetual, eternal. It is not contained within the material creation. In other words, Brahmaloka means Vaikuntha. The verse from Sri Harivangsha cited here in the Brhad Bhagavatamrta by Maharaj Parikshit says that the Brahmarshis, either those absorbed in Brahman or great devotees like Narada, dedicated to Parabrahman, Bhagavan, always serve Brahmaloka. That spiritual realm is aspired for by the most exalted persons, including Lord Shiva and his consort, as well as liberated sages who have realized oneness with the self-luminous Supreme. In truth, such candidates for entrance into Brahmaloka are not impersonalists, but great devotees of the Personality of Godhead's lotus feet, like Sanaka Kumar and his brothers, who know from their direct experience the insignificance of impersonal liberation. Narada and the other associates of Lord Narayana are also on this level of spiritual competence. But because they are considered eternal residents, not candidates for entrance into Vaikuntha, the second sentence of this verse from Sri Harivangsha does not mention them among persons who make Vaikuntha their goal. If the word Jyotisham in the last line of this verse were taken literally to mean the sun, moon, and stars, the statement being made would be weak. To say that the spiritual world is beyond the sun and moon is not to say much, since even Maharloka lies beyond the solar and lunar orbits. The sun and moon cannot approach Satyaloka, what to speak of Vaikuntha. The word Jyotisham, therefore, is better understood to refer to the spiritually effulgent sages who worship the Supreme Person. Text 81. Above Brahmaloka is the planet of the cows, which is protected by the Sadyas. O Krishna, that great planet is infinitely expansive, pervading the unlimited spiritual sky. Text 82. That planet is above all others, and there you are to be achieved by intense concentration of the heart. None of us can understand that world, though we have inquired about it from our grandfather. Commentary. Since Vaikuntha is unlimited, nothing can be beyond it in ordinary time and space. Yet there is a transcendental sense in which Goloka, the planet of the cows, lies above Vaikuntha. Just as Sri Shivaloka, due to its comparative excellences, is considered above the infinite abode of liberation, and just as Vaikuntha is understood to be above the boundless Shivaloka, so Sri-goloka is above Vaikuntha. To assert that Goloka lies beyond even Vaikuntha is valid because only on Goloka do the pastime energies of the personality of Godhead display reality in its most perfect state. Goloka is presided over by the Sadyas, meaning those who are worshipped by great saints. These Sadyas are Krishna's dearmost devotees, Sri Nanda and others, whom Brahma, Sanaka, Shiva, and Narada try to emulate by all the means of spiritual discipline at their command. Another way to understand the word sadhya is derived from the verb meaning to accomplish, is that all cowherd men and women of Goloka manage to bring Krishna under their control by the unique ecstatic sentiments they have for him. Or else these sadhyas are the gopis, headed by Sri Radha, Krishna's dearest devotees, and therefore the most important residents of Goloka, who perpetually manage to maintain the glories of that abode by their wonderful pastimes with Krishna. The term sadhyas normally refers to a class of ordinary demigods, but the notion that texts 81 and 82 refer to those demigods is no more reasonable than the idea that the luminaries mentioned in text 80 refer to the sun, moon, and stars. The ordinary sadhyas, like the celestial bodies of the material world, cannot travel even to Satyaloka, what to speak of Vaikuntha. Certainly, therefore, these sadhyas cannot reach Goloka, and their being its protectors is out of the question. Goloka pervades the spiritual sky, exceeds all limiting conditions of material existence, and most fully manifests pure eternity, cognizance, and bliss. In contrast to the tiny sky of the material world, the spiritual sky is infinite. Goloka has its place in that infinite sky. The absolute truth is called Akash, the sky, because as the sky, or the material ether, pervades the created universe and remains unchanged as long as the universe exists, Brahman is all-pervading and eternal. The great sky, Mahakash, is Parabrahman, the Supreme Person Sri Krishna, with his dense, dark blue effulgence. Vaikuntha, the complete manifestation of Satchit Ananda, is present within Krishna, and thus in essence not different from him. And within that spiritual existence, Goloka is the supreme abode. It is above Sri Vaikuntha, which is above all other worlds. As difficult as it is for conditioned souls to comprehend Vaikuntha, Goloka is even more mysterious. Goloka can be understood only by the tapas of complete concentration of the heart. Mundane reason fails even to begin to approach it, and it remains unknown even to the great sages, who for information about it approach the grandfather of the universe, Brahma. Text 83. Swarga is the goal achieved by such pious practices as control of the mind and senses. And Brahmaloka is the highest destination, achieved by those who engage in intense spiritual discipline. 84 and 85. But to rise to Goloka, the planet of the cows, is most difficult. That world was under attack, but you, O Krishna, competent, steadfast, and wise, saved it by putting an end to all outrages against the cows. Commentary. Here the name Goloka is explained. Goloka is the residence mostly of cows and their herders. This is unbelievable. Hardly anyone can gain the privilege to go there. Swargaloka and the higher planets of the sages are comparatively easy to enter, being open to pious fruitive workers who can keep their minds and senses under control. Karmis with less control can still reach the lower heavenly regions known as Bilaswarga and Boma Swarga. In contrast, the world of the Supreme, Vaikuntha, is attained only by those who perfect the Vaishnava discipline of concentrating the mind on the personality of Godhead, who always engage in spiritual activity and to have pure love for God. Yet compared to either the higher planets of the material world or the spiritual planets of Vaikuntha, Goloka is in all ways superior. It is the supreme destination from which one never returns. Certainly, Goloka is not the home only of cows, since the Gopas and Gopis who tend those cows have already been indicated by the words Sadyastam Palayantihi. The Sadyas protect it. Just as Gokula in the Mathura district on earth, even though named after the cows, is also the residence of the cows. Goloka in the spiritual world is also populated by devotees in various relationships with Krishna. Reciting these prayers to Krishna Indra confesses that he tried to disturb the peace of Krishna's abode. Of course, Goloka is eternal and always fully blissful, and everyone allowed to go there is immune from all troubles. But Indra, not completely aware of the glories of Goloka, wrongly thinks he created a disturbance there. Describing his offenses from his own limited point of view, he imagines that by attacking Gokula on earth, he also created anxiety in Goloka, the topmost spiritual kingdom. Also, 86. Also, thus, O Lord of Kunti, thus, O Son of Kunti, in many different forms do I move about here on earth, on Brahmaloka, and in the eternal Goloka. Commentary. This verse is from a conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, found in the Skanda Purana. Before making this statement, Krishna spoke about several of his incarnations, including Lord Jagannath in Purushottam Kshetra. The Goloka in which Krishna appears is an eternal spiritual realm, but in the material world there is also another planet of cows. The Surabhi, who visited Krishna on the earth after Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, was the mother of all cows in the material universe. She came from her residence on the material Goloka in the Satyaloka planetary system to perform the Abhishek of Krishna. Being very pleased with him for having saved her descendants in Mathura Gokula. Being very pleased with him for having saved her descendants in Mathura Gokula, Surabhi wanted to take part in the ceremony conducted by the demigods to officially recognize Krishna as Indro Gavam, Govinda, the Indra of the cows. The Goloka where Mother Surabhi lives is the destination of fortunate cows who do not live in Mathura Mandala and associate with Krishna and his gopis, but who belong to Brahma and other demigods. Since Krishna is always present in Mathura, Yatra Nityam Sanihita, the cows with whom Sri Gopal Dev, Sri Gopal Dev shares his eternal pastimes in Goloka, later become eternal residents of the Goloka above Vaikuntha. And that takes us to exactly 8 o'clock. Hare Krishna. All glories to Goloka, Vrindavan. All glories to the Goloka in the material world, where Surabhi comes, who went with Indra to pacify Krishna after Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. Okay. Hare Krishna, everybody. If anybody has any reflections or comments or conversation, discussion, please. Our Shyam Kishore is diligently following the comments and is ready
This is from Gopakanya Devi
to
Dasa.
publish them. Gopakanya Devi Dasa. She's first off the block every day.
Yeah.
She's attached to Krishna.
Jai Maharaj, Hare Krishna, Jai Shri, Brhad Bhagavatam, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Glories to Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta. All glories to the devotees who come and hear every day.
From Rati Manjari.
Rati Manjari. Hare Krishna Rati.
Jai Guru Maharaj, after an intense day at work, it is almost a miracle to be able to tune into your sacred vibration once again.
It's your sincerity, Rati. It's your sincerity.
From Sudevi Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Sudevi, Florida.
Hare Krishna, so much to learn. I savor hearing all of it, which is strange since I do not understand a whole lot. Glories to the translator whose grammar is so beautiful and poetic to hear. From Rati Manjari. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. I have a question about yesterday's reading, which I hope is appropriate or relevant enough to validate an answer. We have heard that Sri Sarupa instructed the Brahman from Mathura, and Krishna revealed the eternal name of this devotee to be Janasharma. In the Papa to text 42, we also learned that along with the name, Krishna also gave Janasharma a coward's form similar to Sri Sarupa's. I was wondering whether the fact that the Brahman also turned out to be a coward boy was a coincidence, or was that part of the reason why Sarupa in particular came to instruct him, and could his rasa form have been different? Or is this beyond my level to ask or understand?
Well, just the phrase, or could his form had been different, shows that you're not quite understanding. Krishna gave him his eternal form. It's already there. The eternal form is already there in the heart of every living being. But he revealed it. And he had the power to transform the material body into a spiritual body. That's Krishna's prerogative. Only Krishna can do that. Therefore, all of us have to be chosen by Krishna to become perfect and to be able to go to Goloka-Vrindavan and find out who we are in the spiritual world. So, no, there's no coincidence, but it is interesting that Srimati Radharani was the one who gave Sarup the instruction to give the special mercy to who turned out to be the Mathura Brahmana, who turned out to be Janasharma. It means that the Goloka-Vasis, the Vrajavasis in Goloka-Vrindavan, they all have very intimate relationships. I don't know if you've noticed, but in the pastimes, when the pastimes were unfolding and different persons were there with Krishna and Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd boys in Balaram and Krishna and the gopis when they were with Krishna, you know, they're all there in a society, in a family, a huge, huge family. And they all feel connected to one another as family members due to their pure love for Krishna. So that was Janasharma's Sarup. That was his original identity. That was revealed by the mercy of Krishna through Sarup, his mercy. And there's no need to think, well, could it be something else? What that sentence means is that there's some doubt that maybe, you know, Radharani could have made him a gopi or something like that. But that is the mind imagining things. Better just to accept for what it is. Sarup was the recipient of Lord Krishna's mercy, and he was always a cowherd boy. And Janacharma, he was told by Radharani to take care of this other devotee because she knew he was a cowherd boy. Because therefore, on that level, the guru is usually, or if not always, in the same rasa as the disciple. But sometimes not. And there lies the possible doubt, or what's the word? Contradiction. There's no contradiction. This is the will of Krishna and the original relationships of the soul with Krishna. And as Lord Chaitanya said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, or it was Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, sorry, who was saying that when he explained the tree of Lord Chaitanya, of devotional service, of the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, no one can say who is higher and lower. That's as far as I can go to answer that question. Hare Krishna.
This is from Brhad Bhagavatamrta.
Hey Braj, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances or glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya, glories to Prabhupada.
What does it mean to have complete concentration of the heart?
It means that when the mind is located in the heart. It's not located in the brain or the head. It's located in the heart. So when the heart is concentrated on just one thing, and that means everything you look at, you see the differences, different forms, but you automatically think only of Krishna, how it's related to Krishna, and how wonderful Krishna is, that he can be the source of all these wonderful varieties of things. That's the first stage, the first step towards full concentration. And when that full concentration comes to the original form of Krishna and the name of Krishna, and it becomes fixed without deviation for a moment, ever, then you get entrance into Goloka Vrindavan. Therefore, it's very rare. But I heard Gopiparanadhana today talking about how Rupa Goswami was talking about the ocean of devotion, and how just a drop of that ocean, if one tastes just a drop of that ocean, his material existence can change and be transformed. So we shouldn't think that because we're not purified and we're hearing, and we're not transformed immediately into a cowherd boy or a gopi or whatever, parental figure of Krishna, that there's something wrong. Because just the drop of it makes us eligible to go forward and get taste. And once you get that taste, you can never go back. Prabhupada told us that. You can never forget Krishna, even if you try to. Sometimes devotees go away from the movement. Did you know that? Sometimes devotees try to forget Krishna by going back into the material world, but they can't. And they all confess at the end, they all confess they couldn't forget him. So therefore, we should be, rather than think on the negative side that I'm far away from that, we should think, well, I'm starting to get a taste for hearing about Krishna, even though I feel far, far away. But that is so rare among all the living beings in the universe. So we should be feeling some gratitude, big time gratitude. And some, what's the word, amazement, that I could get this far. Hare Krishna.
From Anandamurti Devi Dasi.
Yes, Anandamurti.
Jai Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Understand that Goloka is so special.
Yes, it is the most special.
From Rachi Manjari. I meant if the Brahman would have had an eternal relationship in a different rasa, paternal for example, would he then also have been instructed by a cowherd boy?
I don't know, I can't understand the question at all. You're saying, what if? But it's not what if. His relationship was a cowherd boy. And therefore he was instructed by a cowherd boy. That's just a straight fact.
Thank you very much. That is what I wanted to know.
Yes.
That the guru is usually in the same rasa as the disciple.
That's what I said. I already said that before.
Thank you for answering my somewhat impudent question. I loved hearing tonight how Parikshit Maharaj encouraged his mother to try to reach Goloka by her endeavors.
Yes. Because, there's a saying, God helps those who help themselves. It's not that Krishna decides just on a whim. It means that a person has become dear to Krishna by his own effort. We can't get there by our own effort. We can only get there by Krishna's choosing us and by Krishna's. But why he chooses some and doesn't choose others? It's because we have to convince Krishna to have faith in us. We always talk about, having faith in Krishna. But the other side is that Krishna has to have faith in us. So our endeavor is to convince Krishna that we're sincere, that we mean it. That's why Krishna doesn't give pure bhakti to very many souls, because when he does, that means he belongs to them. It's not like here in the material world where you fall in love and then you get in a fight, you leave each other, you go to someone else, It's not like that. Real love in the spiritual world is the full-blown thing. Hare Krishna. Exactly 8:15. Well done, I might add, for all the assembled sages. Okay, so Hare Krishna, now we're going to hear more of the Rasayan, these wonderful verses and how they connect together and how they take us to the full understanding, make us eligible to go back to Goloka Vrindavan. Well, actually, you can't go back to Goloka Vrindavan until you follow in the footsteps of Vrajavasis, which means to become, first of all, spontaneously attracted to Krishna. And then from that platform, we can find out which of the relationships pleases us the most. But it can't be decided on just by our own minds. That's the point. It's not a mental concoction. It's not a mental imagination. By hearing and chanting for a long time from the right sources, gradually one becomes aware of who he or she is in the spiritual world. So let us make that our goal and keep hearing and chanting with that goal. Yes, something else.
Yeah, from Gopiparanadhana Devi Dasi.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
She said, "Sure Maharaj, the gratitude and amazement, and sometimes I feel where is the ending from the conditioned state to a liberated state."
Well, a devotee if a devotee is sincere, I mean, there's different levels of pure devotees, but the first rung of a pure devotee is when a devotee doesn't have an ulterior motive behind his service. When the service is just for Krishna, and one becomes very attached to that service, and then that turns into attraction to Krishna personally, attraction to his form. And we hear these beautiful verses which describe the form of Krishna and how it appears and how it moves and how he moves and all of that. So it's not that we should become absorbed in these things prematurely, but it's our duty to hear all these scriptures because Srila Prabhupada has told us to. So if we just keep hearing with sincerity and trying to serve according to our capacity, everything will be revealed to us through that process of hearing and gradually understanding more and more, and the mercy of the Lord from the service, especially of spreading Krishna consciousness to others. Okay, that's it. Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Brinda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night, same place, same time, same topic. De creme de la creme, de la creme, de la creme. Hare Krishna, see you then. Hari Bol.